1380C Action News. Now, your table is ready. Join 1380C's Jeff Smith with the decision makers of Northwest Ohio and Southeast Michigan. This is the Roundtable.
Hi there, good afternoon. Thank you so much for spending some time with us once again here on this Sunday at the Roundtable. My name is Jeff Smith. Coming up in our second segment today, we're going to talk about an event that has been going on for the last couple of years, really encouraging all of the young people around the area to grab a book, open it, and sit down with mom and dad and enjoy the pleasures of reading. We'll talk about Claire's Day coming up. But before we get to books and opening up the binders and whatnot, we're going to talk about today's technology and where it stands and how you and yours could be well, in need of some serious protection when it comes to your smartphones, when it comes to your business, when it comes to just basically sitting down and using the internet. I want to introduce my guest to you this afternoon, Rob Langendorfer. He is owner and president of Digital Perspective here in town. Rob, welcome to the Roundtable.
Thanks, Jeff.
Next to him, Tim Ward and also Chris Krauser. They are both from SCORE here in Toledo area. And gentlemen, thank you so much for being here. We're all here to talk about this symposium, this seminar, which is coming up, part of the Toledo Library, coming up with an idea that they want to put this out to folks. They want to have them protect themselves from cybersecurity issues. And we're getting a real opportunity to hear from some real experts here in the next couple of weeks, right?
Correct.
Talk a little bit about what we're going to hear.
Jeff, on June 6th, the Downtown Library and SCORE is going to host a workshop on cybersecurity, also could be called computer security.
Yeah.
We're going to start about 4:30. There's no charge for this workshop. There is parking at the Downtown Library. There's no fee for that.
Yeah.
We think this is an extremely important topic, and we're very fortunate to have a presenter coming to us from the National Institute of Standards and Technology, Richard Kissel. Richard is a 20-year veteran in this particular subject matter.
Yeah.
He currently writes standards for federal agencies, and he will be presenting to small business primarily.
Basically telling federal agencies how they need to protect themselves.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And so that's an important job.
Why is this, Tim, get in on this. Why is this such a big deal right now? I talked about having, you know, your smartphone and looking at that. I mean, everybody can access the internet there as well, but we're also talking about how this targets small business and how everybody's put in jeopardy.
I think when you look at this problem, you look at large businesses and you realize the crippling effects that it has when your system has been hacked. But you also look at the larger businesses and you think about the large resources that can work on the prevention side and also work on the cure side of it. Mm-hmm. Small businesses, in many cases that we deal with, that are our clients, don't have full-time IT personnel.
Yeah.
So don't have all the best preventative measures and certainly don't have a team of experts to come in on the cure side.
So as a small business owner, where are you left? I mean, you're left to just go out and buy something over the counter and just put your hopes that that's going to save you?
Well, you want to have some good practices in place. You want to warn your employees about, you know, not minimize your web surfing and kind of minimize their kind of personal access on the internet. You want to make sure that they're not opening emails. In fact, I would recommend you don't open any attachments, you know, unless you're absolutely certain, and also don't use links that come from emails, because anybody can fake an email and send it out. And that's a common way of hacking into systems.
Is it the hackers out there have gotten, the scammers, if you will, they've gotten so much better at trying to trick you, or is it just we're not learning fast enough?
Well, this has been a growing problem,
yeah,
and it's my understanding that it's worldwide. Mm-hmm. A lot of these...
Well, yeah, in fact, I want to interrupt you real quick. Right. I've got an article here. It says the U.S. and Japan are holding the first ever bilateral talks on cybersecurity coming up. So you talk about this being a big problem growing. It is worldwide.
Well, in talking to Rob about this, it's my understanding that we have individuals or groups on another continent that may be affecting the United States.
Yeah.
And so the technology is incredibly powerful. I know it's become a lot easier to hack into systems of all sizes. And so I think to protect ourselves, I think Mr. Kissel is going to bring to this community some extremely valuable information.
Once again, talking about an event that is coming up on June 6th at the main library downtown in Toledo in the McMaster Room. Does it go beyond being at your business, and sometimes you get these tedious requests sometimes on your computer when you work somewhere to change your password, and you've got to do it, right? It's key. It's
right.
important.
Right.
Why?
Well, I think that the more that you pay attention to the preventative measures, the better off that you're going to be. I think most people are a little bit lax. They look for something comfort in their passwords. How many computer monitors have you walked by that have the password taped to the side of it or in a desk drawer that's easy to find?
Yeah.
So we don't do a great job of working to protect ourselves, assuming that things are going to be just fine.
What are the key elements that small business owners really need to hold fast to these days? What if they're out there listening and they're thinking, maybe, we may have a viewer out there this afternoon who's thinking, maybe I haven't done such a good job in protecting. This is perfect for them to come and listen and get the tools they need, but just when you're thinking in bullet point type frame of mind, what do they need to know?
Well, I think there's, like any business problem, there's usually information available to a small business owner. Mr. Kissel is emphasizing in the workshop preventive measures. And I think the key is to keep people out of your system, and therefore you don't have to worry about the problem. I think he's also going to stress where are the resources available to small business. All businesses struggle with finances, so I think the information he's bringing is going to be critical. But I think one of the first steps, and maybe Rob can add to this, is what do I need to do to prevent people from hacking into my system? And then what do I need to do to find the kind of tools I need to do this?
Are we living in a fool's world or a fool's paradise if we think that we are secure?
Probably. It's actually kind of frightening. I mean, you were asking, how is it that more and more people are being hacked? It's because out on the internet there's now instructions for people how to do that. And I've seen customers that have been hacked from Russia and Tunisia and places like that. Not necessarily meaning that it was coming from there, because the hacker could have taken over a system in Russia or Tunisia. So that these attacks could be coming from anywhere.
And you're not talking about those emails that come out that tell you you've got $1 million, whatever, sitting in some bank offshore.
No, not just those. I mean, also hackers can get into systems, websites, and any kind of computer connected to the internet. It's possible to get in. All they need is to find some sort of vulnerability, and basically what's happening there is that the hacker is giving the computer something that it doesn't expect. Like, let's say I were to say you want me to give you a glass of water, and you expect something 4 to 16 ounces, but let's say I give you a 300-gallon glass of water, and maybe that's a bad analogy, but the computer doesn't expect it, and it's overwhelming, and then the hacker's allowed to put their own program on the machine that allows them to do basically anything. So a laptop with a webcam, they might be able to see what's going on, see and hear what's going on, and then they can access any of the information on that system.
What are the clue-ins, I guess, for somebody either in a business that they have been hacked, outside of something major and drastic like a shutdown and not being able? If you're saying somebody's monitoring something, how do you know? How can you find out?
You may not know. In fact, a lot of people don't. A lot of times it can be just your computer running slowly can be an example. But yeah, you don't necessarily know. I mean, I've seen examples where hackers will get in and change a company's website to put advertisements for them on it, or to get in and put some sort of malware. So whenever anybody goes to that, perfectly legitimate website, they might get some sort of virus or other malware.
Are virus scans and some of the security software out there that businesses and even homeowners can buy, are those doing a good enough job these days to try to clear your system? You mentioned maybe I'm sitting here listening to you, and you said your computer could be running slow. That could be a sign that you're hacked. Well, my computer runs slow all the time, so apparently somebody's monitoring everything I do. But you're not saying that's every.
No, not necessarily. But that's one of the, you asked, how can you be sure? Well, you can't absolutely be sure, but yeah, you should run They call them antivirus, really they're anti-malware. Run those types of programs, but unfortunately there's no 100%. I wish there was some program where I could say run this and it'll solve all your problems, but unfortunately a lot of times those malware programs only solve things that they have found. So new things coming out, you know, there may be no defense against that until those companies adapt to that.
What do you say to clients? What do you say to people you work with who tell you these programs just slow everything down anyway? I mean, you kind of go with the flow?
We don't usually hear that many problems with their software applications. Just a personal example though, of what we were talking about is I had my email compromised recently. And I didn't realize it until I had all these undeliverable messages, and of course my provider cut me off. Then I ran the security device to see what was on there. I had 6 programs that had to be deleted. I think one of the things that small business owners have to be aware of is make sure they are using the monitoring systems that they do have. And I don't know if you have so many other issues to worry about, I think sometimes you lose sight of some of these details.
Yeah, tell people, I mentioned briefly at the top, but Tim, give people a little history on SCORE. What is SCORE all about here in town?
SCORE is probably one of the best kept secrets not only in Toledo but across the United States. We're part of the Small Business Administration. We're 100% volunteer, and we provide something that people probably think is too good to be true, which is free business advice. Locally, we have 40 mentors that provide business services to about 800 different clients, spending about 2,600 hours a year doing things like individual counseling to help people get their business started, to help it grow, to help it succeed, doing things like this workshop. SCORE was originally an acronym that back in the mid-'60s when SCORE first started was for Service Corps of Retired Executives. A little bit of a misnomer now because we really have switched around the RE to relevant experience. And that's really what brings us to topics like social media and cybersecurity.
Yeah, cybersecurity obviously very key right now. Another thing I was going to read, Senate Judiciary Crime and Terrorism Subcommittee meeting agreed on at least one thing at cybersecurity hearing that just happened this past week. They said, quote, there are 2 types of networks, ones who know they have been hacked and the ones who don't. Is it that easy?
In some cases it can be very easy. Like I said, there's sometimes instructions out there on the internet. If a particular computer hasn't been updated, it can be very easy to get in. And all it takes is one security loophole, one update that hasn't been run on the operating system, and a hacker can gain, in a lot of cases, total control over the system.
There was another clip I found this week in one article on IT Web. I wanted to show people at home if we can take that and show folks. Read it to you. It said, quote, cybersecurity has moved beyond the IT departments to impact governments, enterprises, and individuals on a massive scale. Cybersecurity today is a quote-unquote war zone. Coming up on June 6th, there is a seminar at the Toledo Lucas County Main Library Branch McMaster Room. It is all about cybersecurity, and once again, computer scientist Richard Kissel, who works for the Computer Security Division with NITS, which once again, NITS is a government entity, or it's an organization that helps the government?
No, it's a federal agency, and they govern all of the measurements and standards for the United States. It's technology based, but it's really an economic tool, and it helps, you know, in some respects maintain our standard of life in this country.
And while you said small business can really benefit from attending something like this on cyber or computer security, others who are listening to this today can benefit as well, yes?
I think everybody that has a computer can benefit from this, and we want attendees to be from big business as well as small business. If an individual has an interest, we welcome them. I should mention that registration is on the SCORE website at nwoscore.org.
We've got that website pulled up. We can show people at home, but go ahead, you were saying?
And so they can register there. It's very easy. We've made it very simple. Again, there's no fee for parking or attendance, so we want a big turnout. We think this is very important for the Toledo community.
Well, we appreciate you guys taking some time to talk about that, get people ready to go on June 6th. Rob, Tim, and Chris, thank you so much. We appreciate it. We'll see you next time.
Well, thank you, Jeff.
Stay right there. When we come back, we'll talk a little bit about Claire's Day coming up in just, it's next weekend. We'll be right back right after this.